Bezrat Hashem. Starting another class of mesilat yesharim, page 72. And we discussed that one of the essential start and beginning of every elevation, every improvement, or any aliyah is zahirut, to be careful, to be vigilant, and to care about any mikhsholim, nisyonot, that we may fall. And mesilat yesharim explained that there are three different perspectives or category of people towards this. Some people, they can settle for less. They want to keep everything and they care about completion, flawless. They want to make everything perfect. So they're not looking really for any excuse, shortcut, to cut corners. They're ready to take any effort at any price to be complete and not let anything bring them down. But there is another one, the second one, that he calls him Akhl Pehutim Ele. There are people who less than the first category. We're going to dedicate Bezrat Hashem this shiur Leilun Nishmat Mr. Yohanan ben Nissan Halevi Ruach Hashem Tenechanu Ganeden Rosh Mishad V'gam Yehuda ben Rabbi. So there are people who, this category, the second category, they said, you know what? As long as we are not part of Reshaim, part of people who are in Gehinam, it's okay to have an average neshama, average degree. אנחנו לא נדחות עצמנו להיכנס בגן עדן לפני ונפלים. Okay, we don't want to be the best one, the most tzaddik and hasid that you find. As long as we could get in Gan Eden, not necessarily lifnai v'lifnim, all the inside, as long as we are there. Im lo yelanu chelek gadol, even though we don't have a big portion and big zechut, yelanu chelek katan, at least we're going to have small, average zechut. We are not that religious or that educated. As long as our Shabbat, our Mitzvot, our Pesach, certain Mitzvot, but not necessarily to care about everything. Anu dailanu baze. We okay with that. And we don't want to make our life harder, and we don't want to take too much responsibility because of that. We're okay just to be 100% Saddiq, 100% Hasid. We don't want to be the best kid in the class. As long as I could pass the test and go to the next term. So Ramchal Haram Moshe Chaim Nosato, he knows our mentality and psychology. He said, let me tell you something. Yes, you want to settle for less. You're not aiming higher for maximum. You're happy even with minimum or with average. But let me ask you something. Omnam she'ela had mish'al mehem. I could ask them this question. היוכלו כל כך על נקלל לסבול בעולם הזה והחולף? You know this world is not forever. And you know whoever gets to any position in this world is just temporary. But let me ask you, in this temporary world, which nothing is forever, let's say in your neighborhood, your friend bought a new house and he demolished it and he built the unbelievable house for himself and family. Would you say, is okay, I want to stay with my little house, even though he has a bigger house, or he took advantage of the certain program and he made the good money and he was able to save and build his house, make his house bigger? Would you say, or you would say, I wish I could do that? You're going to go find out how to do it. And if you can't, you're going to be jealous of it. When you see your friend more respected and more honored and much ahead of you, your classmate, you started together, would you say same thing for Ruchniut? You would say for Gashmiut, let me be just average. I don't want to become that famous like him. I don't want to become so respectful like him. Would you say that? Or you would say, how can I get there? And this is only when you see someone in your level, as a classmate, as a roommate, he got into the bigger position. But if someone who was under you, was your ever, was your slave, or one of the aniyim, poor people of the town that no one thought about it, that he becomes someone at some point. And now he became so respectful, honorable, famous. He got into this business and he grew so much. Someone who was working for you till 2 years ago, he became almost double, triple millionaire than you. Would you still take it so slightly and say, oh, okay, I'm okay to be the same one that I was last year? Doesn't bother you? You don't get jealous? You don't wish that you could do that yourself? And you don't go to find out how he did it, you do it too? Obviously you would. So how come when it comes to Gashmiut, to physicality, to this world, Olam Hazeh, you are so eager to aim higher and even compete and go ahead of all your competition? But when it comes to Ruchniut, you are not worried about competition. Let them be Sadiq, let them be Chassid. I want to be the way that I'm here. I don't want to push myself. I want to take it easy. At least I do this mitzvah, that mitzvah. Okay, I'm not that Sadiq in the first row in Gan Eden, but at least somewhere. So it says, you see, that this is only excuse. Because in Gashmiut, you're ready to do anything you want to get to a higher position. But in Ruchniut, you compromise and you settle for minimum and you don't want to be zahir, careful.
What is Ruchniut?
Spirituality. Gashmiut means physicality. So therefore, he will ask, don't you think that you will be so burning inside that how come someone who was much lower than me now got ahead of me? He didn't know Aleph Bet. He didn't know ABC. He didn't even sign his name. Now he got into the position. He has a company. He has this, he's that. Wouldn't bother you? Obviously, for sure, will bother us. So how come in Torah world and Olam Haba, we give little break to ourselves and says, okay, this is good enough. Lo vadai ki hine einenu haroot kol amal ha'adam leinase al kol mi sheyochal velasim mekomo ben haramim yoter ki hi kinat yishmereu. And this is what it says in Kohelet, that the whole life is about competition. In childhood, your siblings are your competition. You grow up, you go to school, your classmates are your competition. You grow up a little bit, your kids in the neighborhood are your competition. You get into job, business, or work, you get certain company and people, your competition. You get married. Marriage is your competition. Children, they become your competition. And at the end, the whole life becomes your competition. So the whole world is all about competition. And this is in normal lifestyle. But unfortunately, in challenging lifestyle, you add more competition. And when it comes to your neshama also has a competition, which is Yetzer Hara. And this is what Ramchal is saying. Ki cannot ishmerehu. Anything that we do is all because competition with others, to be ahead of others, to know more than others, to have more than others. We all compare ourselves in any levels of life or aspect. Just as long as we are higher, we're okay, but not necessarily lower. And we feel embarrassed if I'm lower. If we all drive the same car, it's okay. Mine is dented, his is dented. Anyone has some dent in his car. But if everyone, brand new cars, my car compared to their car, lower. So it's embarrassed for me. Why? Because I'm lower than others. And this is what the competition brings, disappointment. So it says, if you really care about your level in the game of life, to be always ahead and not fall behind, why it comes to eternity, to nishiyut, to olam haba, all of a sudden, we have certain rules and regulation, and we keep it, and we're happy as long as I'm doing it for a long time. I always say this because I know a lot of people may hear us here or in the future. Why we only choose certain pages of Siddur when I come to Kenisa to pray. Ashtre Yoshve Shema Yisrael. Why? Why after 10 years, 20 years of praying, I shouldn't add more Pesukim, more pages, more part of Tefillah? Why shouldn't add kind of more levels of Kedusha? Why shouldn't be able to learn Mishnah, Halacha, Gemara, Zohar, Ben Ish Chai, and many other Sefarim? Why shouldn't? Why I only want to listen to the rabbi to hear the Torah? Why shouldn't have my own study and learning and to read Rashi and other Mefarshim? So it says, unless you don't expect from yourself and you don't believe in your potential, that I could be the first category, that I am fully ready to be 100%, and I should not give up, and I should not settle for less, and I should expect from myself more, you're not going to grow. There's a story about a Talmid who heard once from the rabbi. He was giving a speech about bitachon. Someone who has bitachon, trust in Hashem, 100%, has nothing to be worried about. Hashem is going to answer his tefillah. As long as you have 100% bitachon to Hashem. So next day, the Talmud comes and says, Haram, I really enjoyed your class yesterday, and I have a full bitachon that Hashem is going to help me. I'm not worried about anything. And here, I even went bought the lottery, which I'm going to win $1 million. I have a full bitachon. The rabbi says, surely that's a very good news, and I'm happy that you finally got into the level of bitachon, and Baruch Hashem, I see that you're going to be a millionaire, to have $1 million, win the lottery. But I know someone who has some extra money, and he doesn't mind to buy this ticket from you for 900,000. Are you ready to sell it for 900,000? He says, oh, you see, Rabbi, my bitachon is working out. Yes, I'm ready. He said, you don't have bitachon. He said, how come? He says, if you know for sure you're going to win $1 million, why you want to lose $100,000? Wait another day, you're going to win. If we believe in ourselves that I know I could be the most close person to Hashem in my neighborhood, in my family, in my life, why should we settle for less? Why should I just say that's good enough? One class a day, one Mishnah a day, one this, one that. If I can grow more than that, why do I stop myself? So therefore, Ramchal says, there is nothing but Yetzer Hara that comes and gives us a little bit comfort and to say, that's good enough. You okay with this? And it doesn't let us grow more than that. It's up to here is good. And how much more so if his friend gets higher and higher and he stays in the same low level. He got into business, he bought already a few buildings, and he's still paying rent. He doesn't even own any real estate. How much bothers him? My friend, you see where he got, and still, I'm here, Dar Jozadan. I'm in the same place as 10 years ago, 5 years ago. How much is going to bother you? And we know one of the sa'ar, type of suffering that the person will have in Gehinnom, in hell, is this sa'ar, is this suffering, that he's going to come and see all the neshamot which he knew in his life. Now they got into what a great zachutim and position, and in Gehinnom he's going to suffer. And this is the one of the suffering of Gehinnom, self-embarrassment, that he himself is going to feel the busha, that how come I didn't take advantage? How come I didn't do it? How come I didn't push myself a little bit more? ואם יראה חברו מתרומם והוא נשאר שפל ודאי, שמה שיספול הוא מה שיוכרח לספולו, כי לא יוכל למנוע. ולבבו יתייצר בקרבו, יתעשת. And Ramchal has a news for us. He says, this type of suffering that you see people ahead of you and you fell behind, you cannot stop it. You may forget or you may come down for a few minutes, for a few days, but it's gonna eat you up from inside more and more because you know that you had the same opportunity to grow. You are the one who wasted. And since you know it's your fault, you cannot forgive yourself. And that's why you suffer. If it was someone else who caused it, at least, you know, it wasn't my fault. You feel a little bit calm because you see, I was forced into this situation. It wasn't my fault. At least you can a little bit calm down. But once you see it was 100% your fault, you could have the same situation and you didn't, it's gonna eat you up, it's gonna bother. Recently, I heard a story from Story to Inspire, I think it was from Rabbi Bakhshi, something like this. That was a yeshiva rebbe who was teaching the kids through many years and was very successful in his teaching, but financially he was not in a good position. Especially the kids now growing, the expenses growing, he had to get ready for marry off his children. So it was getting a little day by day, a little bit, him and his wife warrior, even though they saw Baruch Hashem, Siyata Dishmaya, how much Hashem helped them in his career to be a good Rabbi and teach and Baruch Hashem. So he was originally from Los Angeles, and I think he moved to New York. One day, one of his relatives came to him and says, you know what? I know what you have in your mind, but I have good news for you. So what is it? He says, Baruch Hashem, in past few years, I've been trying nursing home here, nursing home there, and I've been successful. And I'm just about to open another one. And I need someone who really care, honest, reliable, punctual, organized, like you, to handle it. And I know it's a win-win situation. You're gonna be successful, company's gonna be successful, you're gonna be in a better shape financially. And just to assure you that nothing is going to be forgotten, I offer you $1,000 a day salary. Means $300,000 a year. Just to tell you how much I believe in you, that I'm ready to invest on you $1,000 a day. This Rippy said, wow, $1,000 there, $200,000. Imagine I could marry off my children, I could have a better lifestyle, this, that. But you know what? Let me talk to my wife. He came home, as usual, this, that. And he says, I want to tell you something. He says, yes. He says, so and so came to me today, and he called me and said, you know what? I think I solved all your problems. You have nothing to be worried about anymore. I have a job for you, nursing home management, and you are very capable to do it. I could see it in you, and I'm ready to pay $1,000 a day, $300,000 a year to start And this way, you know for sure I'm serious and you could do the perfect job for me. I think that was before Obama. So what happened was, the wife says, well, that's very good money. Obviously, it's going to help us a lot, but how about your yeshiva, your talmidim, who grew up with you, that you've been very successful and are really growing, this, that. He says, that's why my also concern, how can I leave them and come? She said, you know what? Let's think about it a few more days. Next day, she said, I think I have an idea. What is it? Take the job for 3 years. We're going to keep all our lifestyle as before, saving here, saving there, same 2-bedroom apartment, this, that, same car. And we, for 3 years, we're going to almost gain $1 million. We're going to save it. And after 3 years, come back to your Ruby job. And then this year you have a saving and backup for children, everyone. And at least it's an opportunity. We took advantage for 3 years. And this way you don't leave your Talmidim also. And they were thinking about it. They said, might be an idea. They had to come to Los Angeles for a wedding or Simcha, that family Simcha. They came, a few days later, they came, and Shabbat, Ufruf, or whatever, Sunday, they had to come back Monday. So they had one day. They said, you know what? Let's go to San Diego. He used to be teaching there before, and before he moved to New York, and he had some family, friends, this, that. We want to know how it's changed, if it's the same, just to revive some old memories. As they're driving, because of the late night sleeping, Saturday night, Moshe Shabbat, he couldn't drive really, and he was about to fall asleep. He pulled over to one of these rest area, goes to Starbucks, and asks the lady behind the desk, can I have a dark coffee or black coffee? She said, no problem. As she's preparing, she looked at him and says, are you a rabbi? I said, yes, how come? He says, because I'm Jewish and I'm about to get married soon. And don't worry, my fiance also is Jewish, and we might not be that religious, but we are Jewish and we want to get married. I was wondering if you could help us to find someone to officiate our wedding. He says, yeah, sure. Where do you live? I live here, this, that. As they were talking, so I might have someone, yes. So, and she said, I know it might be surprise to you, but yes, for sure. I never give up this idea, and I always had in mind, even from childhood, to marry Jewish. I never do such a thing to marry non-Jew. And this, I really owe this to my childhood Rebbe that I was in the first grade, and he always explained to us how serious and how important it is to keep your identity, your belief, your Judaism, this, that. And from childhood, I already waiting for this to marry a Jew and not non-Jew. The rabbi gets a little bit curious. He says, where did you go to yeshiva? He says, yeshiva on that street in that. He says, what year you were at that yeshiva? He says, between those years. He said, what's your last name? She said, the last name. He says, look at me. Do you remember me? He said, oh, you are the rabbi who taught me this. It was a kind of a very big shock for both of them, that such a coincidence. The Starbucks somewhere in San Diego, after so many years, they met, and she's telling him, what you have taught me 20 years ago now is bearing fruits, and I'm applying it, and definitely. So Definitely they exchange information, phone numbers, this, that. But when he comes to the car, for him, he was in a different world. The wife looks and says, everything is okay. So let me tell you something. And he tells her the whole story. After he tells her the whole story, it was no more any question about the decision. Right away, both of them, they called the friend and says, thank you. We're okay. We have a bigger investment here that we're gonna do. And thank you for your offer. They knew that what they're doing now, that are teaching and growing and letting neshamot to grow to be in the right path, this is the best investment I'm planting. That how much reward, more than $300,000 a year, is gonna be effective and zechut to their life. So this is what Ramchal is saying. Why should we underestimate ourselves? Why should I think is enough for me this much learning, this much mitzvot, this much yahadut, this much emunah? That's this much is enough. Why should I aim for higher? Why should I try my best? Why should I do full force to do to keep everything? Why? Let's be average. Even though I don't have a big part in Gan Eden, at least I have a small part. And as you know, no one goes to doctor and says, can you make me a little bit healthy? Always we expect the doctor to do what? The best, complete healthy. No one wants to say, hear from the doctor says, I think I was able, to help you a little bit to be healthy. So no, that also is good. Go on your own. At least you could breathe. At least you could walk. That's good a little bit. Virus is not fully out of you, but at least does not stop you to eat or to do. At least I was able. Don't continue your anything medication. That's good enough. At least this much good. What do we say to the doctor? You helping me or you are putting me in the bad position? You telling me not to get better 100% and to stop medication? How come we don't do this to people who try to disappoint us and stop us to say this much is good, don't do more? Little bit here, little bit there, little bit mitzvah here, little bit mitzvah there. That's good. Why you want to be 100% tzaddik? And to tell the truth, this is the price that the reform and conservative movement or centers are paying. This is the high price because the rabbis or the leaders, they made so much shortcut and they cut so many corners for them that this is also good. Sometimes you hear among the Persian too, آقا حالا بذارید کنیسا بیان، همین هم خوبه که کنیسا میان دیگه، حالا شما میخواید اینجوری اونجوری. I know none of us here we think that way, but people think this way. As long as they come to Kenisa, at least they hear something, that's also good. Don't stop them, don't tell them why you do this, why you do that. Let them come, let them this, let them that. And unfortunately, that causes so many bridges to be break because they said, we go to this temple, to this center, to this, that, and they don't expect too much from us. As long as we come this time and we live this time, as long as we do this, as long as we hear that, that's good enough. That even they offered us even Rosh Hashanah Kippur or Shabbat program on Zoom also live. As long as at least they could hear something. So this is what Ramchal is saying. It's not that these people are Rishaim, they are wicked, they are against Torah. No, this is the philosophy. They think minimum or average also is okay. I'm still connected. I'm still affiliated. I'm not that far. Still, I keep something. At least I put on tefillin. At least I give tzedakah. At least, I go to Tehillim reading program. At least we come up with a kind of stop for ourselves that at least I'm doing something. So he says, Ramchal, you are right. You're doing something. But would you think the same way in your business, in your daily life, in your physical world? Do you still the same to stop yourself and not to grow? If you are the same person, doesn't matter, in Kenisa or in business, only you keep everything in the middle and you don't want to be a little bit above average, then something to talk about. But when it comes to the business, to the family, to the world, you become so eager to aim higher and you expect so much. You go to work 6 o'clock in the morning, you come back 11 o'clock at night because I could make more money, I could become a bigger person. If you invest so much, you're ready to give up your sleep, your food, everything, comfort, just because your potential is higher. How come in Torah? Why in Torah you don't expect more from us? And therefore, Ramchal tell us this really Satan or Yetzer Hara is not that much involved in your michsholin, in your averot. All they do, just to tell you, that's good enough. And ma'alim ba'kodesh, and that's Rav Avraham ben Chaim, the Moroccan rabbi, he was saying, once you don't go higher, moridim, you're going to come down automatically. As it says in the Gemara, Ya'azveni yom, yomayim ya'azveka. Hashem says, you leave me one day, I leave you 2 days. Because one step you go back, one step I go back, it becomes combined 2 steps. If we don't aim higher, definitely we're gonna go lower, no matter what. If I don't have any new goal in life when I wake up today, I want to add this to my daily schedule, that spot, which is what not used, is gonna go waste. It's not gonna stay just like that. There is no middle, either Ma'alim HaKodesh or either Moridin. Malachim Olin Beyordim both. This is what Hashem hint Yaakov and us. Ladder of life, either you go up or either you come down. There is nowhere that you could stop. Ma'alim Olin Beyordim. And Ramchal saying, you want to fight your Yetzer Hara? No problem. Fight yourself. Once you fight yourself, you're fighting Yetzer Hara. But if you don't want to fight yourself, you want to go as the flow. It goes, whatever, whenever, what happened, whatever, it comes as a flow. You're going to go. You're not fighting yourself. You're not fighting Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara easily could fight you. Ezo Gibor HaKovesh et Yisro. Who is a Gibor? Who can control his Yetzer by growing and going higher. May Hashem help us to keep at least 20% of what we said today. And Bezrat Hashem, from that 20%, we go to Bezrat Hashem 30%. Let's again give us ourselves little room to grow. I could get better. I could grow. I can keep my mouth more in the better way to talk or purity and everything. I could, but let's look for opportunity. May Hashem help us to do it.